Welcome to another edition of Maverick University. I'm your host, David Hallberg. Joining me today is Mrs. Joyce Angel.
Yes.
Mrs. Angel is an adjunct faculty member at Providence Baptist College and is the wife of Pastor Terry Angel in Bourbonnais, Illinois. You all have been there for 33 years in that place and have done a wonderful job of building people and influencing lives. And I wanted to have a real quick conversation with you, Mrs. Angel, about a little bit of your family. One of your children is a missionary on the foreign field.
Yes, actually 2 are now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Cherith.
Yes.
In Panama now.
Yes.
Absolutely. I've forgotten.
Yes.
And so obviously there's a lot of other women who have children that are already on the foreign field serving as a missionary, or they're on deputation, or their child has been called into missions. And I just wanted to use you as a resource to help these ladies and, help them manage, oh my goodness, my baby's going across the world. How can I manage this? What are the emotional aspects of this, and what can I prepare myself for?
Well, it's something to it was very interesting to send a son to the mission field.
Mm-hmm.
It was scary. It was a big deal, but it was nothing compared to sending your baby daughter to the mission field. It took me a long time to be okay with Cherith leaving home, especially to the mission field. And with Ben, it was, I never really worried about, when the kids were little, I never thought about the mission field. I mean, it was like, okay, that's a possibility, but we won't worry about that. You know, that's way off in the future. And I just focused on combing their hair, making sure they were fed, doing devotions with them and praying. Lord, please, help them to grow up to live for you. And wherever that is, it's okay with me. And so I never worried about it. And missions conferences would come and I'd think, oh my, are they going to surrender to Antarctica or Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, that's a thought I'm beginning to have right now too. Yeah.
I know. And it's because, kids do that. But it didn't bother me. And I remember a friend of mine said that she was combing her little girl's hair thinking, I may be combing the hair of a missionary. Well, I never thought that. I knew it was a possibility, but, we'll worry about that later. Then I remember when Ben went to Mount Salem to camp, and he was gone. And this was before cell phones, so we had a phone in every house, or in every room of the house. And that morning, the phone rang, and it was just kind of like, this phone call, I don't know who's on the other end, but this phone call is significant. And I thought, I'll let my husband pick up. And sure enough, he answered in another room, and then he said, Joyce, you need to get on the phone. And my heart went ba-boom, ba-boom.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was Ben. And he said, Mom, I just called to tell you I've been called to be a missionary. And my heart just kind of, okay. But you know what? A lot of high schoolers, they will surrender, and it doesn't, then God redirects their path. And so I thought, I'm just not going to worry about it. We've got to finish high school, go to college, and we'll just see what happens. Well, he went to college, and he started taking French. And I thought, this is a good sign because, Canada speaks French. There's all these islands, that speak French. So surely he will be close to Mama. And then his senior year of college, he said, I'm called to Madagascar. And I thought, where is Madagascar? And when I found out, I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? This is as far as you can get from your mother. What in the world? And so he went, but then again, there's deputation and whatever. So he went through deputation, and the time came, and he went to Madagascar, and I thought, where is this place? I don't know. And so a lady had gone, another mother of a missionary to Madagascar had gone to visit, And so she came back, and I thought, well, I'm going to call her and find out about Madagascar, and maybe she'll speak comfort to my hurting heart. And I said, so I called her, and I said, can you tell me about Madagascar? I've heard it's a third world country. And she was from the South, and she said, well, let me tell you what, that's no third world country, that's a fourth world country. And it was like, okay, so much for comfort,
Yeah.
But we went to visit, and even though it's a fourth world country, so to speak, I realized this is where God wants them. And it's right. It's the good thing. This is a good thing, and I'm very grateful that the Lord called them there. And as hard as it is to be away from them, I really don't want them to come back.
Yeah.
So they're in God's will, and it's good. It's good.
If I could, I'd like to backtrack a little bit and ask a parenting question.
Sure.
Your child was in a position to feel God's call on their life. What do you attribute that to? I mean, what can you contribute as a parent so that when your child is called, they're, number one, they hear God's call. Number two, that they're willing to recognize it and accept it for what it is. And then even after that, I mean, he made that phone call at camp. I feel that I'm going to be a missionary, Mom. Were there times in his development after that where you had to nurture, encourage that a little bit?
I don't think I had to encourage Ben. And I don't think I had to encourage Cherith either. I think their hearts were set. They knew this was right. They knew this was what God wanted them to do. There were difficult times. One thing I have learned from watching deputation, language school, and getting to the field is that there is nothing easy. There's nothing easy about being a missionary. It's just the devil is going to fight them tooth and nail. He's going to fight them every step of the way. And so I think as far as a parent goes, you have to we just tried to be there for them and try to make it as easy as we could for them. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's what you're asking or not.
Well, I'm sure some parents would, at the first sign of opposition say, well, maybe this is a sign you just should come home.
Oh, well, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose some could be like, but you're saying no, the opposite. We're going to continue to encourage.
Yes. Now, this is what, when Ben went, I told him this. I said, if they don't want you there, you just come home to Mama. I did say that.
Yeah.
But no, we, as hard as it is to say goodbye, we don't want them to come home. We want them to be in God's will. I mean, this is what we prayed for their whole entire life. Since they were a child, Lord, we give them to you. We want them to be where you want them to be, no matter if it's far away across the world. We'd rather have them across the world than down the street out of God's will. And I think that was really tested. Then it's really like, okay, did you really mean that? Is that really how you feel? And yes, it is. As hard as it is to not have them here, we really do want them there. And I remember the night before Ben went to language school, they were living in our basement. It was Ben, Ashley, and their little girl, Kenna, who's now 17.
Wow.
Yes. It was the night before language school, and all of their things were packed into suitcases in our basement. And it was Wednesday night before church, and everything, and they were just getting ready to go. And we had a rainstorm, and the sump pump, the electricity went off, and the sump pump went out, and the basement was flooded, and all of their stuff was soaked with water. And we had to, go to different church members' houses and get everything dried. And I think that was the first time. I mean, I had seen deputation. I had seen, them travel across the United States. I had seen them go to churches where maybe they'd forgotten they were coming, and they felt like they were intruding. I heard about the stories about the accommodations were not desirable, were not comfortable, and there were times when it was like, okay, is this really worth it? But it was. It was. It was. And you have to just, and then this happened, and that's when I realized foremost that the devil is fighting. The devil doesn't want these kids to go to language school. He doesn't want them to go to Madagascar. And as a parent, you want to make things easy for your children, and I've got to do everything I can to help them do God's will. So that's in everything. It doesn't matter if it is sending a package to them, or making a money transfer for them here in the States, or taking care of some business here in the States for them. It's all like walking through mud. And it's you just realize there is a real devil who wants to stop this. And I don't want him to stop it. So as a parent, I want to do everything I can to help them.
Almost sounds paradoxical, but the fact that Satan is opposing something is almost encouraging.
Right.
To know that, hey, they're doing something for God.
Right.
It's going to be opposed.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit about, just maintaining relationships. Cherith, your daughter now is in Panama. They just finished language school in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
And so, obviously, grandchildren.
Yes.
Especially grandchildren who might have been born on the field.
Yes.
If you're not careful, grandma, grandpa could be total strangers. How do you build these relationships, maintain these relationships with children that you don't really get to spend face-to-face time with?
Well, I am so thankful for modern technology.
Absolutely.
When Ben and Ashley first went to the field, there was no Skype. And we had to call, and we found out about Vonage, I think. It was
Sounds familiar.
free. Okay, that was, and then Skype came, but Skype was like horrible to navigate through. But now with FaceTime, it's great. And we every Thursday morning on our way to the college, we FaceTime Ben, and we see him every Thursday
morning. Just a standing appointment.
Yes. And then every
wonderful. Sunday
Sunday morning when I'm getting ready for church, the girls call me. And so we have FaceTime. And Cherith, I don't know how we do it without FaceTime.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different, really and truly, for any mother of a missionary today, that's starting it today. You will love your phone. You will love FaceTime, because it's not like being there, but we open Christmas presents together. We open, it's great. It's great. We get to see them, if not daily, several times a week. So you can.
What needs do your kids have, their spouses have, that maybe you feel that need to be met, either by you or supporting churches? I imagine parents hear a little bit more intimate details than a missionary would be willing to share with supporting churches, because they want to gripe, complain, or whine about, what is minutia, I guess. But parents of missionaries probably hear about these things.
Right.
And if you could communicate anything to a pastor or supporting church and say, these are the needs of my children as they're on the mission field. You may never hear about it, but I hear about it.
I used to hear missionaries say this, and I would kind of like, okay, really? But prayer, honestly, what they face on a day-to-day basis, if you could just pray for them when they come to mind. I mean, the power goes out, the water goes out, the roads are bad, they get flat tires, and all of these things are things that we don't have daily in the States. And so as an American living on a foreign field, it's very, frustrating.
Yep.
And so they need grace. They need safety because they don't have the traffic,
Yep.
laws and things. And so when they drive in those streets, it's dangerous. So prayer is necessary for sure. The notes and the cards, the remembering on their birthdays is great. It's very appreciative. But they are very busy. And just living in those countries is hard. And life is hard. Things take longer. So if they do not respond to your text or your email, whatever, immediately, please be patient with them. Ashley is teaching school from such and such to such and such, and then after that's done, then she has to prepare supper. Well, she doesn't have, everything has to be made from scratch. So she doesn't have a dishwasher, she doesn't have I don't think she has a microwave. So it takes longer for her to do these things. It's just different. So please be patient with them. As a mother, I would ask that you be patient with my children if they don't respond to your texts or your communication like you think they should.
Perfect.
So that's what I would say.
I appreciate you coming on and kind of opening up your heart about the issue, because I think there are a lot of mothers or fathers of missionaries who share the same burden and share the same concerns for their children, and I think it'll be a definite help to them. So thank you for joining us.
So. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And if you want to check out our other episodes of Maverick University, go to YouTube, or you can go to the audio-only platforms as well. Make sure that you subscribe to those various places, and also share this podcast with somebody who you think would enjoy it. And we'll catch you on another episode very soon.